In April of 2013, a Reddit user going by the name Naruto made a post in the subreddit Advice Animals using the popular Confession Bear meme template. But instead of a lighthearted or silly admission that most people are used to, his caption was far darker. It read the following: "My sister had an abusive meth addict boyfriend. I killed him with his own drugs while he was unconscious, and they ruled it as an overdose." What was normally a meme for harmless, sometimes funny confessions had suddenly been turned into what looked like a chilling murder confession. Redditors were both horrified and captivated. The combination of casual tone and violent content made it impossible to ignore. The seriousness of the post quickly escalated. Users began digging into Naruto's profile and online footprint. Before long, they had uncovered personal details, including his real name, job, military rank, and even his location. Law enforcement and reportedly the FBI were said to be looking into the case. Amid the growing storm, Naruto made a follow-up post. "I posted this wondering what would happen. There is some truth behind it, but I'm not saying what was true and what wasn't. If I had $1 for every time someone took me seriously on the internet, I would be able to retire from today alone. I'm sorry to anyone that I've offended to the point of ruining their lives. If you want to catch a murderer, get out of your house, put on some tight, and go fight crime. I'm quite done with Reddit for tonight. Back to the shadows of lurking. The world isn't quite ready for me." Not long after he posted this, he deleted both the post and his account, vanishing from Reddit entirely. Investigators reportedly looked into the matter, but it's unclear whether any charges were ever filed. When reached later for comment, Naruto himself insisted the confession was nothing more than a joke, a prank he never imagined would spiral so far out of control. And yet the story didn't end there. In his previous post that he made, he mentioned there is some truth behind it, which now lingers in the minds of those who have read them. Was it really just a sick attempt at internet points? Or was he attempting to confess something real in a way he thought that no one would take seriously? Over a decade later, no evidence has surfaced that a murder actually occurred, but the sudden disappearance, the odd phrasing, and the tantalizing possibility of hidden truth make this one of Reddit's most unsettling mysteries. To this day, no one knows whether Naruto's words were a twisted joke or a carefully disguised confession. On May 30th, 2014, a Reddit user with a throwaway account posted to the subreddit "Off My Chest" under the chilling title, "I killed a man." In his post, he described how his fiancée was approached at gunpoint, forced into her car, and kidnapped. The attacker took her into a dark alley in an unnamed Venezuelan city, where he attempted to assault her. Fortunately, she managed to escape before the attack was carried out. According to the Redditor, when he reported the incident to the police, the officers demanded an outrageous sum of money just to investigate. Worse, they allegedly told him that since the act wasn't completed, the kidnapper would likely be free within days. But there was one piece of luck. The assailant had stolen his fiancée's phone, which had tracking feature. With it, he could pinpoint the man's general location. Realizing the authorities would never deliver justice, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He gathered several friends and set out to find the kidnapper himself. The man claims they eventually tracked the kidnapper down, tied him up, and held him hostage. Then, in his own words, he mentions that he used a crowbar to beat him repeatedly, striking him again and again even after the man confessed to the crime and begged for forgiveness. After he was done, the man was no longer moving, and he had essentially committed a murder. In the post, he admitted he never told his fiancée what he had done. He chillingly remarked, "I would not be proud if my own son did it." He even confessed that, in hindsight, he regretted beating the man and wished instead that he had simply used a gun. What makes the post even more disturbing is his reflection afterward. He admitted that during the killing, he realized he had been taking out years of personal hardship and frustration from living in Venezuela. He even wrote that, in a way, he felt relieved and that he enjoyed it. One user who posted in the thread states, "On one side, I feel I should congratulate you, but on the other, you murdered a dude and enjoyed it. Nothing is black and white, I guess. I'll just let this pass without anything but this introspective comment. Good luck." The original thread, which had gained hundreds of comments and an overwhelming amount of support, was eventually deleted along with his account. But traces of his word remain in archived comments and replies, giving a glimpse into his mindset that night. No further updates ever surfaced, and the confession was never reported to the authorities, leaving the thread to linger in silence for more than a decade. Looking back on it now, it's unsettling enough to imagine someone being pushed to such extremes, but the calm and almost casual way this anonymous user describes the act makes it far more chilling. Was this justice carried out in the moment of rage, or proof that something far more sinister had always been hiding within him? In 2019, on the subreddit Confessions, a user named MSC997 made a post that instantly stood out from the thousands of lighthearted or guilty admissions typically found here. The title alone was chilling. "I'm responsible for the deaths of several people." The post read as follows. "Around 4 years ago, I was a vendor on the dark web. It was a relatively short-lived thing. I was just doing it because I was too lazy to get a job, and at the time didn't want to settle for the 9-to-5 thing. I wanted to start my own business and use the drug money as a startup. I had been using these items myself for years. Along with that, I met lots of people into the dealing scene and eventually started dealing myself. I have a lot of anxiety though, so I hated meeting up with people in parking lots, and I definitely didn't want anyone to know where I lived. That's when I read about the story of Silk Road. I got obsessed with the idea of it. Got obsessed with learning how these markets worked, how vendors avoided law enforcement, and how to protect themselves from being identified. All with the goal of using this information and knowledge to start up my own dark web store. Well, after a couple of months, I did. I started my own store with 3 drugs. Ketamine, meth, and some outdoor weed my buddy was getting for super cheap. All was going good for a few months. I had a couple thousand get stolen in an exit scam, but I had about 25,000 saved at that point, so I didn't ruin my life like a few vendors I know of. Eventually, I met a local connect that came into town only once a week, but had fucking anything I wanted. Mescaline, LSD, mushrooms, PCP, even fentanyl. At the time, people weren't really cutting heroin with fentanyl. I mean, I'm sure people did plenty, but it was not nearly as commonplace as now. People just did fentanyl, and still do. I put all my addresses into an Excel spreadsheet, along with their name, zip code, order, and along with the amount that they wanted. At the time, I was selling some super white powdered mescaline. The fentanyl was also white powdered. Very similar consistency. Long story short, my Excel fucked up, or I fucked up, and about 7 people's mescaline orders were filled in as fentanyl. All of them got shipped out, and I did not notice and kept doing my thing for a few days. After about 5 days, someone contacted me and told me their friend died from mescaline. I immediately called bullshit and went to check my order log and scale up how much I had left of it. Well, I had about 11 grams more than I should have. I still don't know how the fuck it could have happened. I went to check my order log on the market to see if anyone had finalized on their purchase, and a couple of them were, but none from a specific day, including the person that messaged me. No one that had purchased mescaline that day had finalized their orders. The market I was on also had a feature to see the user's last activity, and none of them had logged in for at least 3 days. I immediately deactivated my vendor account. I didn't even need confirmation. I knew what happened. I knew I had just killed several people. I sold the rest of my drugs, converted my Bitcoin to cash, and moved the fuck away. Didn't speak to anyone for weeks. Eventually I found a job in a restaurant, living in a city I always wanted to. I haven't touched drugs since that day. I haven't had anything to do with that life since then. I still think about them, almost every night. I saved their names and Googled them a few days later. I was able to find info on 4 of the customers that definitely passed away. One of the customers had shared it with a friend. They both passed away. I don't know why I'm even posting this, mainly because I have no one to tell, and even if I did, I don't think I could. I spend my days sober, clocking into work, clocking out of work, coming home, playing video games. I'm a complete recluse. People I used to know have distanced themselves immensely, and I know it's because I'm a shell of my former self. Could I even tell a therapist about this? I don't feel like I deserve to be here. I don't even know anymore. Maybe this will help me feel better.
When the confession surfaced, it drew immediate attention, but strangely, the original poster never replied to a single comment. Their account wasn't deleted, yet it contained no other posts or activity for 6 years, almost as if it had been created solely for this one purpose. The community's reactions were divided. Some commentators insisted that the author should be in prison, arguing that dealing with substances like fentanyl was never something to take lightly. Others, however, tried to extend sympathy, claiming it sounded like a tragic mistake rather than a deliberate malice. And yet, beyond that thread, nothing more ever came of it. No updates, no police involvement, no verifiable reports of the deaths mentioned. And because the user gave no details about where this supposedly happened, it remains virtually impossible to confirm if those lives were truly lost. What makes the post so unsettling, though, is not just the confession itself, but its plausibility. A single error, an Excel mix-up, a mislabeled bag. This can happen easily and spiral into irreversible tragedy. It's a story that feels terrifyingly possible, the kind of mistake that could happen to anyone careless enough to hold lives in their hands. And so, the confession lingers online, untouched and unexplained, along with the haunting possibility that somewhere out there, several people may have passed away because of this one person's mistake.